Hey guys, Chris here, Broken Nib RC, doing another My Lousy Opinion. Hey, let me just like everybody else, just give you my lousy opinion on the new Vanquish H10 Optic. And right out the gate, I really like this truck. This is a very good truck. I'm not big on ready to runs. When I first heard this come out, I thought, well, I'm going to wait for the kit, and then I don't know. It seemed like at the first they were kind of like, maybe they'll release a kit, maybe they won't. Now that I bought this, they'll probably release a kit by Christmas, I'm sure. That being said, I'm never too hot on buying ready runs. I have, I don't know, probably 3, 4 Vanquish trucks already. And was kind of on the fence about it. I don't regret my purchase at all. The electronics are or that come with it are really good. This is like a lot of you out there. Some are kind of obviously beginning to get into the hobby. Maybe they don't have a lot of extra parts hanging around. I've been doing this for a long time, but a lot of other viewers have been the same way, so they got a lot of extra parts, that kind of thing. This thing it's interesting because it's kind of marketed as a out of the box ready to run truck, which it is. However, it's also seems to have those that have been in RC for a while kind of in mind, which I really like. Everything is obviously everything's upgradable, right? But if you have been in, buying the Vanquish series of trucks, I didn't get the first edition, but I did get like the VS 410 Pro. That was the $800 fancy kit that came out. And been buying, like I bought a Phoenix after that, and then I ended up getting a Carbon, and then, I don't know, this thing. So I've got like 3 or 4 trucks. The transmissions pretty much, I think, except the Phoenix, although the transmissions pretty much are totally interchangeable. It's not a big deal. This truck's like set up, ready to go. If you want to set up dig, there's a place for dig. The electronics tray is really nice in this thing that you can do that. It's set up for potentially for rear steer without any problems. Everything has a thought behind it. Most products are, but for what you get, I think it's pretty cool. And of course, the big thing is this new front axle, which I enjoy it. I mean, I dig the looks, everything. What I really like is the fact that it's behind the axle steering, which is great, but it's mounted the way it's mounted. It's mounted up kind of upside down, if that makes any sense. I set up this is my Carbon. I set up this guy for BTA, which is cool, but and I put a low profile servo in it, and then I go out in the rocks, and it's getting little nicks in the rocks. It's not a huge deal, believe me, but you're like, aw. That's kind of eliminated with this truck, so that's fun. So you don't have to worry about nicking up your servo. Whether this is a competition kind of vehicle or truck, that remains to be seen. I don't know. This has the wheelbase of a school bus, basically. So, sorry, I had to put out a forest fire. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, right. This thing has the wheelbase of a school bus. Actually, it's not that terrible, but it is definitely a longer wheelbase, which is actually, honestly, I think it's fine. You're gonna get, you tend to turtle a bit more. It's straight axle. It's not a portal, so there are advantages and disadvantages of that. I'm kind of in both camps, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter to me. So I could see guys competing with this. Honestly, it has all the excuse me, has all the all the good things about a buggy. The approach angle is amazing. I mean, it's the tires are there 10 minutes where the rest of the truck does. I mean, it's great. Same thing with the departure. It's kind of all ready to go. Out out of the box was if you're kind of new to RC and you're buying this the first time, they're set up really weird out of the box. I just found that interesting. The shock collars were like halfway down the shocks. It was real stiff and goofy, and it does come with the plastic bead locks, which is great, and they work very well. You can add weight to those. You can buy brass rings to go inside the tires. The tires themselves are really good. I found it was interesting because I took it out of the box and just ran it around the backyard real quick. And the tires are good. The foams are unusually stiff for a RTR. I was kind of like surprised. It was because usually you buy Pro Lines and they're super soft. These are kind of the opposite. They're kind of hard. And once I took the wheels apart and vented the tires, that's just me. It's what I do. You vent the tires a little bit and they can breathe. It helps. And then obviously, like what everybody else does is they, as soon as they can, they get an alloy wheel. These are an old set of gear heads that go way back, but they're basically a hunk of solid aluminum, and they have a nice hefty weight to them. So you put some aftermarket, like an alloy wheel on it. The nice thing about it too is the maybe this is an old complaint, but the way the steering knuckles are designed is that I could use just about any offset hub. I don't have to put crazy wide hubs on it. I mean, I can if I want, interchange them. I know I used to run a narrower hub on the rear and a wider on the front, that kind of thing, and then play around with that. But it gives you the option. The hubs on these are not. It doesn't have a big. It's not set really heavy, back into the wheel, so it's kind of nice. It's it just expands your options. You can run. I don't run crazy wide hubs on mine, but everything clears, and it's not a big deal. It's I've run into that in the past. So some of the older wheels are set up for like some of the traditional axial wheels. They have the wheel hubs. Oh, of course I can't find it because I have a mountain of crap everywhere. They run the old style. They're this thing will not focus. Anyway, they run the old style wheel hubs, basically, with the notch in them and everything else. I did have an old set of wheels that I wanted to use. I ended up boring out, just basically opening up the opening on the wheel, and that kind of solved that problem. But you can get both styles. You can get, it's not that they're not that expensive. If you have a set of wheels you really want to run, you don't want to drill them out, and just run a different set of hubs. And there's zillions of options on that realm. So it's really pretty neat. I've got a couple other points on this thing. The panels are awesome. These body panels are great. They're made out of ABS, not styrene. So they are quite, they have a good amount of flex to them. Not only that, but they're very hardy. I ended up first painting this, and it was during a heat wave here in California, and the paint would not adhere. And I think I had a problem with the primer. I probably didn't use a great kind of primer. It was basically for metal, pretty much metal only. I don't know if that makes any sense. If you do a Google search for like primer for ABS, it'll show you all kinds of brands and everything that syncs up. And 99% of it, I ended up using a primer from Home Depot, like a cheap primer, just like a cheap white primer, and it did just fine. But anyway, I had adherence problems. I had to strip these panels at least 3 times during the week, and ended up sanding it and then using paint thinner, and then like seriously like old school paint thinner, not lacquer thinner, but paint thinner. Had to strip those about 3 times, wet sand everything, and then try another coat of paint. And third time was the charm, but it was a pain. But the panels held up great. They never melted down. They never did anything. They just didn't care. So they're really hardy. Obviously, there's all kinds of. I'll get it. I was going into the paint. There's all kinds of different paints that will adhere. The Tamiya paints for Lexan, they'll be labeled for polycarbonate. Those should work on these. But the problem is with the polycarb paints from Tamiya and the regular model paints from Tamiya, some of the colors, some of the pigments don't like each other very much. So you'll get all kinds of weird bubbling and that kind of thing. Which just fair warning on that. I ended up for this color. This is just like what is this? Coral blue. It will not focus. Focus. Oh boy. Anyway, TS41 coral blue. That's that was plenty to get to paint this thing. Your best bet is honestly Home Depot. That's about the same color. That's $6. That's $6. So go figure. Always for the cheaper option. This is obviously these are designed for like people that want to paint lawn furniture and all those crappy PVC chairs and all that kind of stuff. So they're basically it's kind of a one-shot wonder. They have some kind of cool colors now. If you go out, Bear has the same concept, and they have all kinds of different colors. So yeah, I would, if you got this thing and you want to put a neat paint job on it and play around with it, I'd go for one of these. Do yourself a favor, and I would prime it. Use I use like a cheap white primer just because this was the Yokohama edition. It came with the black panels. You put a white primer on it, those colors are gonna pop a lot more. And then if you can, back it up, hit it with a gloss clear. Same thing. You go to Home Depot, $6 a can. Got a lot more bang for your buck. Everything should adhere just fine. You do need to prep. Obviously prep, because they're very shiny and very smooth. So you want to hit it with some like I had wet dry sandpaper, 400 grit, did just fine. You don't have to get real crazy. I hit it. Steel wool is another option. I also use, after I'm done with the sandpaper and that, I hit it with this product called Adhesion Promoter, which you can buy at many auto parts stores, and it's basically hairspray. I think it's hairspray. It adds a texture to a lot of plastics, so the paint will adhere. I wouldn't rely on that alone. I'd probably scuff up the surface a little bit, but it might take a little bit of work. But I didn't put in the same amount of work on the on the grill as I did the top panels. And they seem to be doing just fine. They're going to get nicked. This guy's, we had a big healthy run and out at the lake, and there you go. So it's, you're going to rip the Band-Aid off. However, repainting it, I could probably get 3 or 4 more paint jobs out of this too. It's not a big deal. I did get replacement. I got a set of replacement panels. They're about $38 off the Vanquish website. They're, which is relatively affordable. and you're kind of good to go. You know, that's the fun part of these panels. You can kind of make it your own. You can get wraps. You can do all kinds of stuff. It's kind of neat. I really enjoy that part. So yeah, as far as drivetrain's concerned, like I said, I played musical transmissions for a while. This is the one that actually came out of the ready to run. I believe it comes with 6% overdrive. I had, like I said, I had a VS410 Pro, and I'm kind of, you know, after so many years of that, I'm going to turn it into a scaler, so I don't need all the fancy dig and overdrive and everything on it, really. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll just drop it right in. Dropped it in. There's with the older transmissions, I've got some pics. There's a little bit of a fitment issue on the on the skid plate when you actually install it. You just need to shave a little bit of plastic, and it's not even a 1/16 of an inch. Yep, this is editing Chris here. Just going over the footage, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I basically had to shave a little off the bottom pan for the Fusion Pro that I put in this thing, and basically just to get some clearance over here. So I had to shave a little nick. So yeah, there you go. Back to the video. For me to get my older VS410 VRD in there. Now that one came with the Hurst shift, and it's got full steel gears and 27% overdrive in it, all that kind of thing. So it was all, I basically just, outside of shaving a little bit off of one link mount, dropped it in, and it's all good to go. It all syncs up, no problem. Did use the obviously the shift servo is mounted on the interior electronics tray, which is great. It tends to it does kind of move a little bit, so there might be some if you're using like one slot, I would put a little bit of a backing plate on there just to keep it from flexing so much. But honestly, I ran it all last weekend, and it shifts just fine. It really hasn't been an issue. I might kind of bolt that up later. As you're going on plastic, it just tends to kind of to move a tiny bit. But I haven't had any real issues with it. This does come with the sintered gears, not the machined, which honestly, for those just starting out, I don't think is a huge issue. Now you got to kind of remember that's how you drive too. This buggy is real easy on most situations, like a big old pile of rocks, or you got big gaps in between the rocks. If you get this thing shoved in between a bunch of rocks and you keep hitting that trigger, something's going to break. And because this comes with this, I'm kind of bummed about. It does come with the sintered diff gears, which is all one unit. Everything with the locker. These are likely to go first before the transmission goes. So if you're looking to upgrade, I would definitely switch these out. Good news. Well, kind of the good news is Vanquish obviously makes gears for these, and they're excellent gears. Don't get me wrong. But these are AR44s. I believe they're originally developed by Axial. So you have different manufacturers out there that have that make diff gears. So you've got I think SSD. Just off the top of my head, there's SSD and Hot Racing, and I have a SCX 10-2 that I built up years ago, and I actually put Vanquish axles in it. I ended up kind of robbing the gears out of that and put it in this truck. So I've got 27 tooth in the front and a 30 tooth in the back, and stock is basically 30 tooth front and rear. So I've got overdrive on top of overdrive. I don't know what the final ratio is on it. It's quite a bit. It's kind of a battery drainer, but it is a lot of fun. So, and those have held up for years. I don't know. I'll just run them till they explode and just replace them. It's not a big deal. If you do replace the gears, you've got to replace the lockers as well. So you want to factor that in. So if you do both front and back, you're looking at you're probably looking, unless you got some other options out there, you're probably looking at $100 plus, probably about 130. So that's something to consider. Just, it may or may not be a deal breaker. I don't think you need to replace them immediately. I've heard of some guys, you're breaking theirs after a couple of hours, but then you look at their truck and they're running 2.2-inch wheels with big old monster meats on them. The bigger the tire, the bigger and the heavier the tire. You start adding weight to the tires, that's more wear and tear on your drivetrain, and these are going to be the first to go. So just a little heed warning. I wouldn't run 2.2s on it just yet myself, but that's up to you. Electronics wise, steering servo is actually really good. I found it to be horrendously slow myself out of the box with the stock electronics. It's kind of hilarious, but it's a stout servo. I think it's all metal gear. I don't know. It's a good sign when they have an alloy case on there, right? Dissipates a little bit more heat. The ready to runs I'm used to seeing were just, was all bottom of the barrel electronics. I don't think that's quite the case anymore. I mean, comes with this Hobby Wing, this Hobby Wing ESC. The 35 turn motor is just fine. That thing is just plenty torquey. It's got really good magnets in it. Even if you kept that and you want to upgrade the motor, get a Holmes Hobby, get a $20 Holmes Hobby motor, and those are all set to go. They should fit in here, I believe, just fine, because they have a closed end bell. I believe they'll fit. I run that setup in my scalers, and they're great. And you just drive them until they won't drive anymore, and you get a new motor. But I think they're still under $20. So. But the motor that comes with it, it's 35 turn, is just fine. It's plenty hardy. It's got a ton of torque. It's it's snappy. It's out of the box. These are real snappy, which is nice. I really enjoy that. I ended up putting the Hobby Wing Fusion Pro, the all-in-one, mostly because there's not a whole lot of real estate in this thing, in this buggy. And here, I'll show you. Okay, we're back. As far as batteries are concerned, what I did, these battery, the battery compartment on this thing is really pretty cool. I found that the ProTech 1800 milliamp 3-cell, they're pretty affordable. I don't know. I think they're $35 or something. These work really well. They fit in here great. All right, here, just trying to shove that in there. Make a liar out of me now. Oh, geez. Anyway, they fit in there great. I have this habit of getting Velcro. You can get industrial strength Velcro, which, I know Velcro kind of craps out, and for mounting bodies and that, they're pretty much worthless. But on the other hand, for things like the battery mounts, every time I get a new battery now, I just put a strip of, this side of Velcro on the battery, and then inside the battery tray, you put the fuzzy side in the battery tray. And what's kind of nice is that these put up at a surprisingly amount of abuse. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. like I said, they're pretty good. See if I back it in. There we go. That's better. Anyway, this is a cool system, and I like the straps. But I found that having two straps on this battery tray, that I don't know, it gets caught up. It gets caught up really easy, and it's kind of a pain if you're popping the trays off every now and then. If you have two like batteries, just for weight purposes, not that these are weigh a ton, but it just seems that if I ran what I mean? If I'm out on a trail and I'll just throw a battery in each one and connect the one side, and I can always just swap, rip it out and swap it around. The Velcro itself seems to be okay, but it's new Velcro too, so I'm not sure how that's going to last. There's not a lot of room for that to fly around. Even if it did get loose, it's not going to go anywhere, really. So you can either ditch the straps and just put Velcro in it, or like what I did last time, I just took one single strap of Velcro and put it on the side where it actually, the side that I actually run. And I can I got two straps, so I can either do that on both sides, just for safety's sake, just to keep the connector end from flying out. Although I just put up a video of a run I did, and that whole day I never ran the straps. I just recently, yesterday, I put in the straps, and but none of my batteries ever moved. Another thing I did is I went on Amazon and found a parallel connector. If you have, now this is a 2000, this is an 1800. I couldn't run both of these at the same time, right? Because it's parallel. They're two different capacity batteries, so they're not going to drain evenly, and it's just not going to be good. You're going to be really, it's not going to be cool. But if you do, because I actually bought, I don't buy a ton of batteries at once, but when I get a little bit extra cash, especially these small batteries and all these trucks, I'll pick up an extra Protec, same milliamp, same everything. Well, if you're on a big trail, especially you're running all this overdrive, you're going to drain it pretty quick. So I thought, just like my SCX6, I'll run two batteries and just run a parallel connector. You can probably make this yourself, but the shortest length I could find was 4 inches. Now, when the truck itself, like I said, there's not a whole lot of real estate in there. So I have to kind of experiment with it, right? So the wire coming from the Fusion Pro, obviously I have to kind of snake it through to the other side here. If I had a 4-inch connector to it, unless I make a real, I could probably make a stubby. I don't think it's not that complicated to make. You just make it a parallel connector. It's not that big a deal. So you could probably cut that in half or run it, just to run a little stubster. But then you've got to run a connector on the other side of the truck to the other panel. I don't know. It just seems like it's more complicated than it's worth, but that is an option, and that way you can get a little more runtime without changing batteries. But with the system, once you get set up, changing batteries is really not that awful. This is another thing, too, I had to learn the hard way. These 6 screws on this side and the other side, those 6 screws, and obviously the shocks, unscrew the top of the shocks, and this whole cage comes off. Not a problem. Electronics tray is bolted to the base of the chassis, right? So I had to learn that the hard way. The first time I was unscrewing all this stuff, and then God, I don't know what the hell I ended up doing. It was it's like I was making a ship in a bottle, putting electronics in this thing. It was just ridiculous. And I watched some other video, and I'm like, oh, right. That's another thing I highly recommend, is that don't just watch my video, but watch other guys' videos. Harley does a great video on this, obviously. and I'm sure he goes over this. I'm sure of it. But I have the memory of a peanut, so I don't know. I forget stuff. So anyway, that being said, we finally figured all that out. I threw some Incision drive shafts on here. That's from the original VS410. Like I said, it's a longer wheelbase, so I'm kind of like, well, okay, I'll keep the stocks with me next time I go out in case they pop out. But I don't. It doesn't look like it's in danger of it, but it's a little extended in the back. We'll see. I don't even know if you really need it. The drive shafts that come with it, I don't know. I'm still running the original Phoenix drive shafts, and I put tons of miles on them things. I've never had one blow up. Like I said, you don't do wheelies. You don't do wheelies and poppies on asphalt all the time, and the drive shafts will last quite a bit. It's amazing. It took me 20 years to figure this out, but it's amazing. You don't drive like a moron. Things tend to last. That's just me. I'm not passing judgment on anybody. That's just me. That's from my own experience because I have rebuilt so many transmissions. And it's because I get it stuck and bound somewhere and I get all stubborn and I won't get too damn lazy to pick the truck up. And all of a sudden you hear that snap and there you go. And you just dedicated another, 20 minutes to an hour, tearing the truck apart, fixing the transmission. So just from experience. Anyway, that being said, this thing runs great. I took the shocks apart last night. Of course, they leak immediately out of the box. That's kind of a Vanquish tradition. The shocks just leak. You look at them and they leak. However, to be fair, they don't leak out of these ones don't leak out of the bottom seals. Okay, so they're assembled correctly. It's not I don't think it's even really a Vanquish thing. They leak out of the caps. Like I said, when I got it, the spring collars were like halfway down. The truck was just really goofy and stiff. I like a bit of droop, so I just basically I've seen some guys run it all the way to the top here, but I just run it to the top of the threads, and that's about it. And I could play with different spring rates and this and that later. I put a heavier shock oil on. I just put 100 weight because honestly, it's what I had. So I put 100 weight shock fluid in it, so it's going to slow down the shock quite a bit. It doesn't necessarily make it stiffer. It's not like changing the spring, but it just slows it down a little bit. It's handy for climbing and that kind of thing, where you don't want it to, you don't want that weight you don't want that rear end to give out on you immediately. So you can play around with the weights a little bit. I think it comes with like 30 weight or something in it. 30, 35 weight, I think, is kind of standard. So you get that gush. Well, I'm too old for that much gush. So I run a little heavier weight. But, shock oil's still kind of sort of cheap. And normally I run about 65. This one I just put 100 in it just because I had it. So I don't know. We'll see if it's bad. We'll just change it out. I did get smart and use some the associated. I don't know this stuff. What the hell is it? Oh, the green slime. Excuse me, green slime. Did use green slime on it, so we'll see. See if it leaks. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, there's upgrades. There's tons of upgrades. There's always got to do upgrades and lots of bling stuff. There's aluminum panels for it now, and I'd love to change the little bump stops in here. I guess I have to find out. Somebody's making them, and I haven't figured out who yet. It'd be nice I'd like to put a rear stabilizer in it, the stabilizer bar. I don't know if that would help or not, honestly. I'll give it a shot. They look cool. I have no idea. I mean, it's stiffen up the rear end a bit, keep it from. But I don't. As far as crawling in that, I don't know if that would help. And straight up, like I said, straight up competition crawler kind of thing. Although I'm not a big competition crawler guy. I actually built the carbon to compete in local events. And the way the year's been going, a lot of the local events just haven't really happened yet. So I go out and, play with it on my own. I wouldn't call it a trail truck, but some people use it as like a trail truck. This is kind of weird. It's like an in-betweener. It's like an in-betweener between it's not really like a moon buggy. It's really designed after, I think it's designed after a U4. And, U4 class of rock racer. King of the Hammers kind of stuff. And as far as that goes, you put a little hotter system in it, and I've been playing around with the pinion and that kind of thing. It really shines. It's a lot of fun. It's just a blast. It is a lot of fun to drive. It's a different drive. Okay, it's a different drive than a carbon, or obviously one of these, or even a Phoenix. Phoenix is a great trail truck when you set them up right. And these, I think, have potential too. They really are. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be great on the trail. These like roosters, pull roosters and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's just a blast. It's fun watching the suspension work. That front axle is a lot of fun. And I really like the way it's designed. And a lot of these parts are super interchangeable. So if you've got maybe you bought a Fordyce or you bought a Ready to Run Phoenix, take a look at it and see the things you want to improve on it. And, it's highly tweakable is what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, I say go for it if you can. I didn't have the money when it first came out. I couldn't pre-order it. And then it just disappeared. It literally evaporated off the back of the truck for at least 2 runs. Now they're a little more available after the initial hoopla's over. So around here, you just couldn't get your hands on one. There was just no way. So it's been a while, but I definitely don't have any regrets. This is an awesome truck at the beginning. I think Brandon and them guys at Vanquish did a great job. And I'd like to see a kit. I'm a little bummed about the diffs, but I kind of get it. They're trying to bring it in to an affordable price point, and sacrifices kind of have to be made. If they bring out a kit without the electronics, maybe they can upgrade some of the drivetrain components. Would be nice. You at least throw some steel diffs in there with lockers, and then go from there. The transmission, honestly, I put steel gears in my Phoenix, and I run my Phoenix a lot. But they had a deal. They had it when I think they either had a bunch of overstock or something, but they had a deal after a while. They'd give you the steel gears with the kit. That was a very short deal, believe me. But I don't know. I don't think I've had any problems with the sintered gears. I've never blown a gear in these things. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. Anyway, that's my lousy opinion and all this stuff. You guys have a great time. Have fun with the RCs. Go run whatever the hell you got and have a blast with it. And leave me a comment and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get a little bit of traction on this channel. It'd be kind of nice. Just because of other stuff I've seen, I go, that ain't right. I mean, come on. You don't have to spend tons of money on grease. I mean, come on, it's grease. Give me a break. Stuff like that. It's like there are. Let me put it this way. There's always better ways to spend your money. Believe me, I wouldn't be playing with these things. But some of the marketing, I don't know. I get a little frustrated with nowadays, and there's different hardware you can source out. If you know where to look and things like that. If you do a little bit of research, you could find some cheaper alternatives because, you know, we spend enough money on these as it is. And if you're on like a fixed income, kind of like I am, you know, every purchase means something, and you can't just I can't just willy nilly buy stuff. It has to, you know, I mean, these are wheels I bought. Oh God, oh my God, it's at least 15, 18 years ago. And I just dug them out of the grave and reworked them, shot a little engine paint on them, and now they look pretty cool. You know, stuff like that. I've got like 20 years of parts that I just can't go out and spend a ton of money, you know, on everything new, you know. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I gotta go. But yeah, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I could use a little engagement and get some traction on this thing, on these videos, and kind of help the algorithm a little bit. It'd be kind of nice. And just get some viewers out there and see what happens. So you guys have a great day, and we will definitely catch you later.